Hi, welcome to TYT Interviews. I'm Wes Clark Jr., and today we're going to speak with Adam Sackrin, who's running for the House of Representatives down in Florida in Miami-Dade County. Adam, are you with us?
I'm here. Hi, Wes.
Hi, how are you? Welcome to the show. You're under the age of 30, is that correct?
I just turned 28 a couple weeks ago.
You just turned 28. What's motivated you to run in Miami right now for Congress?
Well, politics has looked like a lot of fun. It's been really, really promising so far. No, not this election cycle. Really, what inspired me to run? Most people would say, "Oh, it's Bernie Sanders." Here's one of these Bernie kids that's coming out of the woodwork, called to action and running. Not entirely the case. I've had an interest in politics for a long time. I went to college in Tallahassee, Florida State, so I worked around the Florida State legislature for a while. I knew I didn't want to do that. I've worked on campaigns for over a decade now, a decade of adulthood. I was most recently a volunteer with Tim Canova's campaign, FL23. It borders us right to the north. I'm in 27. He's taken on Debbie Wasserman Schultz in 23. I call it Super Bowl FL23. He's going to take her out, and we're going to need a cooperative Congress. We're going to need a Congress that's responsive to the people, a Congress that identifies issues and identifies scientifically proven facts and reacts accordingly and takes action that's in the interest of the many people, the American people, not just the few and the corporate interests. And that's not going to happen unless we start fielding good, honest candidates in every race across the country.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, when I speak with people about the election and people complain about the Democratic Party not being progressive enough, a lot of that's because we don't have enough progressives running for Congress on the Democratic ticket. And once we can really push that over the top, I think you're going to have a much more responsive Democratic Party than, in a lot of our opinions, it is now to the grassroots and to the progressive movement. Now, you worked in politics for about 10 years. Kind of behind the scenes. What were the kind of steps and thoughts you took when you ran in this race, and who are your opponents that you've got to go up against in the Democratic primary?
Well, I'll clarify that a little bit. I wasn't working in politics for 10 years. I worked in politics towards the end of my time in college. I actually went to law school after college at the University of Miami, became an attorney. I've been a practicing attorney for the last 3 years. Elder law cases, family law cases, civil litigation, things like that. Handled a fair amount of pro bono cases too. But I always had an interest in the Constitution, in the Founding Fathers, in the way that our laws come about, in the separation of powers really that we have in our federal government. And I think that's lost on a lot of people right now, that our federal government, keep the election in perspective, our federal government has 3 branches, and there's a system of checks and balances to keep those branches, responsive and keep them productive. And everyone's focusing on the presidential election. Everyone's giving that 100% of their effort. Everyone's, listening to what this guy says and investigating this and that. It's a distraction. The whole thing is a distraction. And that goes hand in hand with what you just said about not having enough progressive people running for office across the country. There's plenty of progressives. Progressivism, this set of progressive values and ideals that we have. We're not a faction of the Democratic Party. We're not a fringe. This is the popular opinion. People want less or no corporate influence in their government. People want an appropriate reaction to climate change. People aren't as discriminatory as Congress would let it seem. They don't care about who uses what bathroom. They don't. I mean, it really goes down the line, but what we have in government in DC is a pay-for-play system now, where the ordinary American voter is not heard. Their voice is silenced, and we've got major corporations and lobbyists in everybody's ears, and they're the ones that are getting the policy. They're the ones that are exerting their influence. And I mean, you don't even have to look any further than the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. Nobody knows about this. It's a totally secret deal. It was written by dozens of corporate lobbyists, wrote it, and nobody in America has seen it. And we're fast-tracking this thing to be passed.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing when you think about it. I mean, especially the fact that, a corporate's a corporation's need for profit will override actual environmental regulations meant to protect all of us and keep us alive. That to me, I mean, beyond the labor standards and everything else, it's a complete disregard for the environment.
I mean, and we're seeing it down here in South Florida. We're about to become the next Flint. It's happening before our eyes. We have disgusting blue and green algae. It's toxic algae. It's coming from Lake Okeechobee in South Florida. Google Florida algae. I mean, this stuff is destroying our beaches. It's killing shellfish. It's destroying the oyster industry. It stinks. The oceans look green. It looks like guacamole in every wave that comes on the beach. I mean, this is destroying everything that people love about Florida. And we know why it's happening. It's the sugar companies that own major plots of land just south of the Everglades that are allowed to dump as much pollution as they want, as much fertilizer as they want, because they're in Marco Rubio's pocket, and because they're in Debbie Wasserman Schultz's pocket, and because over the years of such substantial contributions to these campaigns, they've handpicked their elected officials, and those elected officials, we can see it. It's obvious. They're not hiding it anymore. They're voting their interests over the interests of the people, the interests of the country, the interests of the planet, really.
How conscious are the average citizens in Florida as to the cause of this algae bloom?
The cause is the pollution runoff from these major sugar growing operations, sugar factories, really. They call it Big Sugar down here. There's a couple of families, very wealthy, very influential, a lot of money. Super PAC money, I would imagine, is gonna come in and blast me in the next couple of days, but so be it. I welcome it.
That's okay. The more they blast you, the more attention they give you.
That's true. But
are the people of Florida, I mean, I know you understand, but do the people of Florida understand what's causing it?
I'm not sure that people in Florida understand quite to that extent. I think a lot of people are still kind of asleep. Florida's interesting. You can't just lump us in as, oh, it's just Florida. Florida's really 5 or 6 different states combined into one. Down here in South Florida is the closest, we used to say it's the closest you can get to America on the mainland. I mean, the people here know that things are bad. Things aren't in great shape. We need to do better. The people here are kind of numb to it at this point with the corruption, with the incompetence. We expect our government to not do anything, basically. We're taking it into our own hands. You go to Miami Beach, just across the bay, and the mayor over there has been screaming about climate change for years. And we have a governor in this state who doesn't allow us to even say the words climate change. And we have a federal government that refuses to do anything, that would rather debate the existence or debate whether we're causing it instead of take action.
Which I find frankly amazing, as Florida will be affected by climate change perhaps more than any other state.
On Miami Beach, I drive past it. They are pouring concrete to raise the street and sidewalk levels because the tide in the afternoons will come across the street and up to the steps of local businesses.
Already it is?
It's here. Sea level is rising. It's here. We got to stop it.
Wow. Now, who are you running against in the Democratic primary?
The Democratic primary, we got 2 opponents. I haven't met either of them yet. I haven't seen much coming out. I'm running my race. I'm running a positive race. I know that I'm the candidate to do this. It's not going to be easy. Once we get out of the primary, that's the real battle. This is the longest serving Republican woman in Congress. She was first elected in 1988. That was the year I was born. She's been there. She's got her bread and butter issues. She's really vocal on Cuba and Venezuela and things like that. But the fact of the matter is she's grown out of touch with the district, out of touch with the community. Times are changing. We've got issues on the horizon that are going to become major issues that we can't even think about right now because we can't handle the things on our plate we have right now. I mean, when we had the San Bernardino attacks a couple months ago, and there was the whole issue about how is the FBI going to get into the phone? How are they going to, break the encryption or build the back door? And then all of a sudden they just did it, and everyone kind of forgot. I'd like to know more about that. I would like to have that discussion, and I think I would like to have a Congress that has a couple of young people on it, or a couple of science people, technology people, people from other walks of life, people who aren't career politicians, who have war chests of, campaign funds. We have discussions on the horizon that need to be had, and we have a Congress that I have zero faith in their ability to have those conversations and make them meaningful.
No, you and I agree on that 100%, especially in terms of the young. I don't think there's a lot of people over 50 who quite understand the severity and the threat from climate change. But I mean, at 28, you have to imagine what's your life going to be like when you're 50 or you're 60
Exactly.
or your children are 20 or 30. And nobody's talked about, the realities of what's coming down the pipe at us.
I mean, I'm a product of Miami-Dade County public school system from kindergarten through 12th grade. I went to public schools down here, and I distinctly remember first grade, second grade, third grade, we were doing activities. We were learning about climate change, about global warming. We all called it global warming back then. I mean, we were actually learning about the sea level rise, about the temperature rising, about the polar ice caps. So this wasn't a debate. This is not news to any of us. We are aware of how serious this impending disaster really is. A catastrophe. It's a lot of catastrophes. It's not just the Earth is getting hotter, the sea levels are rising. When the Earth is getting hotter, when hotter conditions exist, Miami's unique in that we're a tropical climate in the United States. So the hotter it gets, and it's really hot out right now, the hotter it gets, the conditions become perfect for mosquitoes. Mm-hmm. And we have mosquitoes in Florida currently that have the Zika virus. And hot, sticky, muddy, wet conditions like a Miami summer help mosquitoes multiply much, much easier. And this Zika virus is going to become a monumental issue to us. The algae is a monumental issue. That's worsened by climate change. There's going to be steadily a lot of problems that start to pop up in the coming months, coming years, if we don't start doing something. It's not just, this is not off in the horizon, 20, 30, 40 years away. That's when we're going to be really screwed. But there's a saying, if you're digging a hole and you want to get out of that hole, you stop digging first.
Absolutely. And when you look at the news, people have to understand, and the people voting in your district have to understand, its representatives in Congress, specifically Republican representatives, blocked funding to the CDC for Zika in order to restrict a woman's right to birth control at Planned Parenthood.
And that's a whole other issue, how they just, these members of Congress can kill anything they want. Any meaningful legislation, really needed legislation, they can kill it with a discriminatory anti-woman amendment or an anti-LGBT amendment or something like that, and just the whole thing goes away, and we don't even get what we were originally trying to do.
Oh,
so
I totally
there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems with what's going on in Congress. It's contributed to this overall feeling of disenfranchisement that we're seeing, where people know government's not working for them. People know it's a joke, and they just don't care anymore. Why would we get involved if it's not likely to do anything?
I hear you. Now, just to lay out for people, you're not representing the interests of any corporation. You're not backed up by money. You're not looking just to make a name for yourself. You're actually just trying to make the world a better place and being smart about it, realizing that the laws and a lot of the problems in this country are coming from our Congress.
Yeah, that's it. I don't have a super PAC. I don't have any corporate donors. I don't have any big money donors. I'm not taking money from them. I haven't been offered any money, but if I do, I won't take it. There's the argument that why would I intentionally handicap myself? Why does Tim Canova handicap himself? Why did Bernie Sanders handicap himself by not taking this corporate money? If it's there, we need money. You need money to run a campaign and to pay staff and put up commercials. If you promise not to vote their interests, you should be able to take it. But it's the whole appearance of impropriety. It's this giving the people faith in their government again. Show the people that government isn't just for these career politicians, that it's intended really for people to step up and to represent the other people and to come together and have meaningful discourse, political discourse, difference of opinions. You feel one way, and the people in your district have these certain needs, and I feel this way, and the people of my district have those certain needs. And we come together and we discuss it and we hash out a plan that works or we leave it up to the states, or, there are mechanisms, governing mechanisms to make this stuff happen. And instead what we have here is it's gridlock. And it's a third of our federal government, the legislative branch, just completely derelicting their duties. I mean, I can't even remember the last time Congress accomplished something that was beneficial, really, to the people at large.
Well, Adam, you seem like a really good guy with your heart in the right place. How can people get involved and help you win down there?
So we're in a unique position right now. We've got the primary going. We're not out hitting the streets too hard yet. It's a lot of behind the scenes thing, but we need people. And I understand there's a lot of good, well-intentioned progressive people out there who might suddenly find themselves without a cause to get behind because of things that have happened in the past week. And, the only thing that I can say to you is don't be distracted. Don't play in to this presidential, this show. It's a reality show, really. The presidential election has been a reality show. It's been the worst reality show ever, and it's on every channel every night. It's a nightmare. Don't be distracted. Those aren't the real issues. That's not where anything's going to get done. We need a cooperative Congress. We need a 9th justice on the Supreme Court already to start getting that stuff done. And the president can only do so much if we don't have a cooperative Congress to build on the improvements that Barack Obama made and to expand on them, to expand Social Security, to get healthcare right. Comprehensive immigration reform, criminal justice reform, campaign finance reform, climate change. These are things that need to be done. There are governing mechanisms to get them done. We can amend the Constitution, believe it or not. There are amendments to it. The states can come together and decide we need something in place here. This is important enough that it needs to be part of the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. And I think restoring democracy is certainly worthy of that level, and guaranteing equal rights, equal opportunity for everybody. And I know there's efforts. I know Wolfpack is doing really good things. I know Larry Lessig up in Boston, he's got Mayday. They're doing great things. Keep at it. Keep going. Focus on Congress. Focus on state races, governorships. This is a movement. This isn't about one person from Vermont who got everybody all excited. This is real change. This is good progress. We're going to keep it going. I'm going to make sure we keep it going down here. People all over the country, if you're finding yourself without something to do, without an output for all this good passion and energy, come down to Miami. It's really hot, but it's ground zero of climate control. People are going to start paying attention to us. We've got Super Bowl FL23 going on right up north. They need all our support right now. So 100% of your support. Make some phone calls for Tim Canova. Get down to South Florida if you can. Feel the sunburn.
So, Adam, when is your primary?
Primary is August 30th.
Okay.
We've got the 3 of us on that primary, and there's a solar panel ballot initiative on that same day. So, hoping to find people that believe in the science, that acknowledge the severity of the situation, get them out to that poll, vote. They'll pick me. They'll pick solar. And, then my name gets on the ballot underneath that Republican guy that they have for the opposite party in a 76% Hispanic district. So crazier things have happened. The rule book has been thrown out for this election. And I fully intend on taking this seat. I'm unseating the longest serving Republican woman in Congress, and I'm putting the youngest person in Congress in 40 years in her place.
I hope
some help
you get it, Adam. I hope you get it. One more time, Adam Sackrin, running in Miami. And what's the website they need to go to if they want to support you, Adam?
It's adamsackrin.com, Sackrin. At Adam Sackrin on Twitter. You can find me, all over there. I'm going to start blogging more. We got a fancy new website coming out next week. We need volunteers. A little bit of money would help too, a couple bucks. And we're going to do some special things. I'm not doing this for personal gain. I'm doing this to get into Congress. Oh, and once I get into Congress, here's an important point. For the 2-year term, you get elected for a 2-year term. For my entire 2-year term, I promise not to do any fundraising for the next term. I'm not seeking re-election until I accomplish anything. And I think it's ridiculous that we let our members of Congress get elected, get sworn in, and then immediately start fundraising for their re-election. This is wildly inefficient, unproductive. It's insane that we let it go on, and I'm not going to do that.
By the way, I think you're the first candidate I've heard say that ever.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
just
I'm
so you know,
unlikely to
the
get
only
reelected.
candidate who's not going to raise any money till they accomplish something for re-election, Adam Sackrin. Thanks for joining us today, Adam. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, Wes.
Best of luck. Okay, that wraps it up. Progressives, TYT audience, if you want to support real change, we got to do it from the bottom up. Please go to Adam's website, check out what he's doing, support local progressive candidates throughout the U.S. in this upcoming election cycle. Thanks for listening. This has been Young Turks Interviews.